Alrighty, folks, coming back at you today with some patch notes overview. I was away for a couple days on a trip, so we haven't been streaming the last couple days, but we're back now. These patch notes released while I was away, so I'm hoping to get this video out and going live on YouTube around the same time that the actual patch itself is going live. Now, last time, when version 1.2 released, the patch went live early in the morning, and then there was like 5 hours plus of downtime when the servers were down and we couldn't play on it. But if everything goes to plan and I can get this out on time, this video that you're seeing should be live at the same time that this patch is live, which is now update version 1.2.2. So not too much craziness going on in this update. This is not going to be a full patch notes overview. I just want to look at the meta impact of this patch, which is going to be hero balance changes and item balance changes. A lot of this patch is Winterfest related stuff, skin related stuff, and that's all cool and everything, but we're not going to look at all of that in detail or go through any of the skins. It is kind of weird that we're getting stuff that details Winterfest like a full week after Winterfest went live, but it is what it is. I kind of expected to get like a Winterfest related patch and then like maybe this week or next week get another like balance patch, but hey, they're doing what they got to do. I'm glad that we got Winterfest and the new map, and now we were looking down the barrel of update version 1.2.2. So let's get right into it. Timestamps below for hero changes and item changes. We're going to go through both, try to keep it quick here. Like I said, I'm mainly just trying to discuss how this is going to impact the meta, what's going to shift the meta, are any of these changes significant? If not, we'll just glass over them the best we can. So here's the update. We can see, depending on when you're seeing this video, patch notes, patch releasing approximately December 10th, 5 a.m. Again, this could actually release 5 a.m. and then the servers be down for a couple hours while this is going live, so don't expect to be able to play on it at 5 a.m. If I'm available, I will be streaming whenever the downtime is off. So look for an early morning December 10th stream if you're seeing this video now, and then also again in the evening we'll be back streaming every day now that we can. So we'll go through here real quick. Winterfest 2024, which it's funny they say Winterfest 2024 here, but all of the things that have referred to this Winterfest in the past, like their initial release video and the previous 1.2 patch notes and stuff, they called it Winterfest 2025. So if you see that inconsistency from me or other content creators, it's not because the content creators are being inconsistent, it's because they have not. They're calling it something different in different, patches and different reveals. So I've been referring to this as Winterfest 2025. They're now saying Winterfest 2024. Whatever. Like I said, it's already been out for a week. We've had this pass. We've seen this Yuletide Zinks and the selection of Argus skins that come with it. It's a cool pass. They're slightly upping the XP gained, actually pretty significantly following this patch. So if you haven't hopped on the patch yet or haven't got any of the pass done yet, don't worry. You're going to be able to finish the pass. It's running through, I believe, December or January 15th. See if it says somewhere around here. Winterfest runs through January 7th. So yeah, you've got plenty of time to hop in and finish it out if you want to earn all these rewards. About half the rewards are free and half of them are if you purchase the upgraded pass. But like I said, a lot of these patch notes are the skins coming back. Some early access skins are coming back with different colors. Second year celebration icon. Leaderboards got fixed on PlayStation, and then new skins coming to this patch. We've got a couple new skins. Obviously, the Morgesh skin that we've been seeing, Aurora. We've got the return of a lot of the previous Winterfest skins, which is all cool. Yeah, new bundles, Winterfest 2023 bundle. You can pick up all the old Christmas skins if you're interested, and some new colorations of some of the already existing skins, which are cool. That's something I was asking for, or I've been asking for in the streams and some of the previous updates. It's like, I've already made a bunch of these cool skins, but only some of them have recolors, so just recolor some of them and people will be more apt to buy them. They're all obviously going to be overpriced, so buy them if you just want to spend some extra money and support this game, but honestly, they're going to be all overpriced. So now we're down to gameplay balance changes. Only one change in the that's not associated with heroes or items, which is just 3 camp is getting a little bit less damage later on into the game, and for the big minion and the small minions getting a little bit less damage at the beginning of the game and a little bit less health. So especially late game. So that's cool, whatever. They're just adjusting 3 camp. Really minor. I don't think that's going to affect the meta in any way. But going into these hero balance changes, which of these hero changes are impactful to the meta? Or is it going to bring any of these weaker heroes up into the meta? Or is it going to knock any of these stronger heroes out of the meta? I've only looked over this briefly, and it seems like most of the changes are very minor. Crunch is one of the only big changes that I saw, but we'll go through them all here and talk about them. Argus is up first because this is alphabetically organized in their patch notes, which is cool. And it's just a bug fix. Apparently last patch, it broke his ultimate's ability to fire through towers, which I did notice. People would be able to hide behind towers from it. Now it will correctly pierce towers again, which is cool. Argus is still strong. He's still going to be one of the stronger mid laners / supports right now. Crunch. They give a big paragraph here describing why they're making these changes. They want Crunch to be able to have a bigger skill gap where you need to implement his combos in the proper order to get the most out of them. And they've decided the best way to do that is just punish people who spam out all of Crunch's abilities by generally nerfing Crunch all the way around. So we'll look at specifically what they've done here. Physical power reduced. So this is all level 1 when you first spawn in with him. Physical power reduced by 2. Attack speed growth increased from 1.4 to 2. So he's going to have a lot more attack speed towards the end of the game. You're going to be able to probably do ability, auto, a little bit faster without having to perfectly auto attack cancel. With him, this probably won't be a big effect because you should be auto canceling with him pretty easily anyway. Physical armor reduction by 2. Mana growth decreased by a significant amount. So, 20 less mana per level multiplied by 17 level ups is going to be a lot less mana towards the end of the game, but they're also reducing some of the mana cost, so I don't know how impactful that will really be. And then base mana regen increased from 1.3 to 1.5. Who cares? These are really small adjustments for the most part. And other than the attack speed growth and mana growth, nothing here is going to affect him late game. Cross Crunch, so his passive, total physical power scaling increased from 20 to 25. So I think they've adjusted a lot of these scalings to make him more favor physical power rather than getting a huge benefit from building magical power. You saw maybe last week that, or last weekend I should say, that I released a magical power crunch in solo lane game where building 4 magical power items on him was very effective and led me to dealing an absurd amount of damage out of the solo lane, top damage on my team as solo lane crunch. It shouldn't happen, but building magical power was how I was able to do that. So they're changing some of these around to where you're going to have more benefit of building physical power. You see on this one, it's a huge gap, but his passive getting 5% extra scaling on physical power is, fine. We'll discuss this all at the end. We'll go through these real quick. So his left crunch, which is usually what I level, damage decrease by 10 at the beginning and 30 at max rank, with an exchange of he's getting more physical power scaling by a significant amount here. 115% physical power scaling definitely incentivizes you to build physical power, which I know a lot of people, especially in jungle, were building physical power on him anyway, but now you're going to get more out of it. Is it going to be enough to make up that 30 drop? It should be, but it's just dependent on what your build is. If you're building tank crunch, then no, it's not going to be. You're going to do less damage. And then the magical power is also getting adjusted up slightly, but it's still not going to be that absurd 115%. Right crunch, damage decrease again. It's actually staying the same at level 1, and then you're going to have 20 less at max level. But on this one, they're actually decreasing the scaling to go with it. So your right crunch is going to do less damage. Magical scaling is down, physical scaling is down, and but the mana cost has been decreased from costing more as you level it to being pinned at 40. So That's good. That's one of the reasons I always leveled left crunch, is you're using it to clear wave, you're using it to clear minion camps, and it's also his cheapest ability. Now right crunch will be the same, so you could potentially level right crunch to do more damage to minion camps, especially if it's not the ability that's getting empowered by his passive or his ultimate, I should say. And then forward crunch, again, decrease in scaling on both the magical and physical side. So I don't see any world where this makes crunch stronger. When you're reducing someone's damage and scaling, for the most part, it's going to make them weaker. They say here at the end, he should feel a noticeable drop in damage potential. That's probably going to happen, but really you're playing crunch for the CC. This may make like tank crunch less valuable overall, but we'll have to feel it out. This will be one of the more impactful changes that we see balance-wise. So we'll discuss that again at the end if we would like here, depending on how late this goes. Countess, cooldown increase on her Blade Siphon by just a second at the end rank and equal at the beginning rank, and then hero healing modifier decreased from 4 times to 3 times, so less healing and longer cooldown on her little 360-degree Siphon attack. And then her ultimate is also getting a late game damage reduction by 20, so I guess they think Countess is a little too strong right now damage output wise, which she has been for a little bit here, so I can agree with that. Decker, she's getting her passive on her Rocket Boots jump. Cooldown refund on ability use decreased from 3 to 2.5, so you won't be able to spam jump with Decker as much. I don't think many people were doing that anyway, but it just takes it down a little bit. And then the primary, her Photon Disruptor Beam, mana cost decreased, and it's just by 5 across all ranks, so that's, whatever. Really small changes there. Drongo, his Boomerang, getting 5% less scaling. This says bonus physical power scaling. This doesn't say total. Changed from 55 to 50, so if it hits 2 times, that's equivalent 10% less of your physical power scaled into it if you're able to hit them with both times of it. So slight change there. Still going to clear extremely fast compared to a lot of carries. Greystone. Now Greystone definitely received some nerfs here. He has been strong, and it seems like he's only been strong just because of how annoying he is to deal with. So they've went ahead and reduced his attack speed growth by a little bit. So obviously that's only 0.2 attack speed, but again stretched over 17 levels. That will be a little bit difference at the end of the game. His basic attacks also receiving 5% less power scaling, which is a pretty significant amount when you consider that attack power number will then be multiplied by your crit if you're building crit Greystone, which you probably are most of the time. So that even though it seems like 5%, that probably will take him down a notch. And then his Sacred Oath, which is his attack stem that slows damage, now correctly increases when the ability is leveled. I'm pretty sure it still did before, but maybe there were just certain bugs, certain games that prevented that from happening. But overall, the damage is decreasing at max rank by 20 per swing. So again, it sounds like it's only reducing his auto attack damage by 20 times the 3 autos that he gets. But then when you're multiplying that by his crit and him having less scaling on his autos are not going to be blowing people up quite as much as they were when you would stem and then hit someone for 3 like 500 damage crits or something crazy towards the end of the game. Not going to be able to do that, and it's getting its scaling reduced as well. So going to take Greystone down a notch with his crazy auto attack potential for sure. All of this is based around his auto attacks. So Grux, they're still not happy with how broken he is in solo lane at the beginning of the game, but obviously he's weak late game, so they're trying to scale him up into the late game a little bit better here. His basic attack time decreased from 1.15 to 1.1. Who cares? Again, this is level 1. Makes him very, very marginally better. A little bit faster to get those attack speeds out, or those swings out. Maybe that could make a difference if you're already super good at canceling his autos with his abilities, but I don't think it'll make a huge difference. And then his crunch, which is the dive, the dash ability, cooldown decreased by 1 second at the end of the game. Maybe that makes him better late game. I doubt it. It's just not a very good ability in the first place, except for like in 1v1 scenarios. And then double pain, damage decreased, but the scaling is increased, and the damage decrease is only by 5. And that'll be per blade, so that's, effectively 10. But when you're getting an extra 15% scaling, damage built Grux is going to hit harder late game with this double pain. So it is what it is. Now looking at Kallari, suffered from extreme feast or famine dynamic for a while. Kallari just hasn't been that good. There are games where you see someone who's really good with Kallari go off. But let's look at what they've done with their health growth increase, so you get a little bit more health per level, and armor growth increase, so you get a little bit more armor per level. These will stack up, but it won't be a huge survivability difference for Kallari, because you're still probably going to get deleted as Kallari if you get locked down late game. The Shadow Walk is receiving extra scaling based off your physical pin for how much you heal while Shadow Walking, so that's cool. Probably won't make that big of a difference, because you're not building so much. You're not building flat pin like very first item, or you're not building 2 or 3 flat pin items in a row first items. So it's not going to help you like maintain your health through the jungle clear and stuff that much, but it will make a difference late game. Deathmark is receiving a cooldown decrease, not at the beginning of the game, but 2 seconds at the max level, which is pretty significant. You're going to be able to spam it, considering how much cooldown you probably have built on Kallari. You're going to be able to deathmark multiple people per fight instead of once. And then bonus physical power scaling increased by just 0.5%. So more damage, getting to use it more is great. The dagger, this is a big one, because the damage is increasing by 20 at max rank, staying the same at rank 1, and then you're getting less scaling, so from 115% to 100, so maybe this can incentivize you to build or to mix in one more armor or health item and still get good value out of your daggers. And you're also getting a slow increase by 5%, so the daggers will still be good, especially if you're prioritizing leveling them, which you should be. They'll probably do more damage sooner into the game than they normally would, but having 15% less scaling is going to hurt at the end of the game. And then the ultimate, we've got a damage increase of 20 across all ranks, but the scaling is reduced in the early game, which is when the scaling doesn't matter as much anyway. So overall, good changes for Kallari. Should bring her up into a position where she can deal more damage, apply better slow with the daggers at 35%. So we'll see. I don't think people who aren't playing Kallari already are going to hop on Kallari, but people who are already good with Kallari may like to see these changes. We'll see how it feels late game, though. Kira, ultimate damage decreased for her ultimate at early ranks. Here, 20 less damage at level 1. But then the scaling is increased by 30%. So late game, her ultimate is going to do more damage. Does anyone still hit her ultimate in a team fight? Probably not. I kind of doubt it. But maybe this amount of scaling is so absurd that it will get pretty valuable late game, so we'll see. Bellica, maximum mana gain per ability decreased from 10 to 5%. So this is from her passive. When she maxes out an ability, she gets bonus max mana. Now it's going to half of what it was before. This doesn't really fix the problem with Bellica being insanely powerful and being able to spam her void bombs at people and harass people so much, but whatever. It takes her down at least a notch. More nerfs are coming to Bellica, you can almost guarantee in the future, but they just don't want to break her back to unplayable right now. Some people that are playing, the devs or that are playing her probably like where she's at because she's fun to play and easy to use. Murdoch, obviously, yeah, they have realized that the problem with Murdoch that makes him so broken is a Noxian Quiver with his passive giving you just tons of pin and extra long range, so that they, in order to counter that, they've reduced the cooldown, or increased the cooldown, I should say, to reduce the number of times that you get to use his passive. And then the cooldown reduction on hit as well has been decreased to 1. So it won't make a Noxian Quiver as broken on Murdoch, but it's still going to be what you build to get the most out of his passive. Muriel, couple changes here. On her primary, the Century, damage increase, not at level 1, but 20 at max level, and magical power scaling decreased, so you're probably not building enough power on Muriel for this 5% to outweigh this 20 extra damage that you're getting, unless you're just building full damage Muriel, which some people, I guess, are. So that might definitely affect her in solo lane if you're playing her solo lane, and then mana cost decreased on her speed up ability. So Muriel, she's in an okay spot. She'll still be an okay spot. These are kind of minor changes there. Narbash, I'm not a fan of these changes, I can go ahead and tell you. He's just kind of series of growth, health growth and regen changes, and mana growth being reduced here. Movement speed decrease as well by 5 units, which is just weird. Why are we doing that? But yeah, less health growth. Mana regen down, health growth decrease. It is what it is. The main thing is the Song of My People, his healing ability, healing per rhythm stack decreased from this set right here to this set right here. So late game, it's going to be, because he's going to snack up to 25, is it, or 24, whatever, rhythm stacks. So this 0.025 difference at end game times 25 stacks is actually going to be a noticeable decrease in the amount of healing that you're giving out, plus just the general health regen and mana growth nerfs. Was Narbash really that strong? Did people really need to, do they really need to take him down? But whatever, it's cool. Phase, her ultimate cooldown decreasing by 10 seconds at the end of the game. That probably helps her, because her ultimate can swing fights. And they do preface here, while supports rarely hit level 16 in an average match. So this won't affect Phase too much. I still don't like her at all right now, but her ultimate can swing fights, so I get it. Rampage has been weak, so what they've done is they've increased the slow duration on his ground pound ability, the Rumble, and then they've increased the frequency at which he will be able to leap by a 2-second cooldown at the end of the game, so that's cool as well. Probably helps Rampage out a little bit, but doesn't give him any more damage or survivability. This is all kind of, tech, slow and pounce, movement abilities, so it's all kind of tech related. Revenant, I didn't actually read what they said around Revenant here, but he definitely is kind of powerful right now in lane, depending on the support matchup for sure. It's very support dependent. So what they've done is his Obliterate the primary, which is the missile barrage. Subsequent missile damage decreased by 20% to 18%. Bonus physical power scaling decreased by 5, and magical power scaling increased by 5. If you're building magical power on Revenant, don't play Revenant. What do you do? You probably shouldn't be playing carry if you're building magical power on Rev. You guys go ahead and light me up in the comments and say, dude, I build Time Warp on Rev every single time and it's amazing. Don't do that. I don't know why you're doing that. But yeah, a little bit less damage. And then his ultimate duration decreased by a second at max rank, which is probably good, because sometimes you do seem like you're waiting. You know where their Revenant is in his ult, and you're just waiting for him to pop out of it, and him coming out a second sooner to go ahead and finish him off will be nice. So Richter has been pretty strong. Physical armor decreased at rank 1 by 2. Who cares? And Whiplash, or Riplash, damage decreased by 10 across the board. It's not something that Richter is reliant on as his damage. He's reliant on his CC potential, so no big deal here. Seraph, her Chastise damage decreased at late game by 20, and power scaling decreased as well by 5%, so Again, that's, it's going to make her do a little bit less damage, but you're probably mostly dealing damage with her auto attacks anyway. So I don't see this as like knocking Seraph out of the meta or anything crazy. Sevrog, his primary, the Siphon, which is using to stack and heal, damage decreased by 15 across all ranks. So that is fairly significant, because a lot of times you're not getting power online, you're not building enough power to get scaling off of it, and you're kind of reliant on that base damage. So that is kind of significant. And then hero healing decreased from 15% to 12%. So you'll have a harder time trading and poking in solo lane, especially against heroes that are building magical armor early. So Sevrog maybe takes him down a notch here in solo lane, but he'll still be just as good in jungle for the most part, as long as you're building a faster clear item first, like Fire Blossom or something. Shinbi, basic attack time increased, so for some reason they want to make Grux swing this much faster and then make Shinbi swing this much slower. Whatever, these are really minor changes. Biting Melody, her passive physical or magical power scaling decreased from 15 to 12. I'm all for making Shinbi weaker, I mean, don't get me wrong, but I'm just kind of wondering why they want to do this. And then line tempo, the Line Wolf gets 15 extra damage base, and increased scaling, and a cooldown decrease to 3 seconds at max rank. So she's going to be able to spam wolves, and they are going to hit significantly harder, and then her autos are going to do a little bit less. So if that's the way they want to go with her, then that's the way they want to go with her. That's all cool. Skylar, I don't even know if they said in here if they think she's good or not. Right now, she is kind of a middle of the range carry in most games. What they've done is they've taken magical armor down at level 1, magical armor growth decreased, or actually increased, so it's going to make up for that reduction anyway. Super goobery there. And then mana at level 1 increased by 30, nobody cares about any of that. Plasma Grenade, cooldown decreased, which is good, it did seem a little long, and that is by 2 seconds at all ranks. So that is good. It did seem like you were waiting around for her Plasma Grenade to come back up if you're using it as a clear ability. And then mana cost increase of her Air Assault by 10. Nobody cares. But I do like that. It maybe could incentivize people to build an ability-based Skylar more often, or at least keep up in clear if you do build ability-based Skylar, so we'll see. Steel, movement speed decreased. Do whatever you want to nerf Steel, so that's fine. And Shield Bash, cooldown increased by half a second at all ranks, so that's fine. Nerf Steel however you want. I don't like playing against him. Terra, level 1 mana decreased by 20. How many times have we seen a Terra nerf, guys? I mean, how many times have we seen a Terra nerf? Does she need to get nerfed again? Like, at this point, you just, like, it was borderline last patch, but at some point, we are going to stop playing Terra if you nerf her every single patch. Like, Ruthless Assault, the third hit empowered gets less physical power scaling by 5%. Yippee. Wild Rush, cooldown increase 1 second, so kind of minor. And then her ultimate, here's the kicker. Why are we doing this, guys? This defeats the entire point of building and playing Terra if you just keep nerfing her. You can only nerf her from a numbers standpoint. You fundamentally made her strong because of the way her abilities work. And then your solution is just keep taking the numbers down, keep taking the numbers down. I'm done playing Terra at this point. I mean, this just one more nail in the coffin, right? Faye has been strong. She's still going to be strong just because of the way the meta is right now. Bramble's patch, damage decrease by 15 across all ranks, and power scaling decrease. So I guess they don't want Bramble's patch to be as damage based. They want it to be more CC based with the slow that it provides. Harvest Nettles, which is the little poke, and this is probably what has made her the most broken so far, is how fast you can just poke in the early game and just stack up massive poke damage. So damage decrease on the poke, mana cost increased slightly, and cooldown changed from a flat 4 to a 4, scaling down to 3.5. So incentivizes people leveling the poke, which I think if you're really good with Fae and you're confident hitting the poke, most people probably were. And then fly trap damage decrease by a pretty significant amount late game, 50 damage there late. And then the scaling also decreased. So makes her, oh shoot, just get Yin out of here. Makes her more of a CC based hero while potentially being able to spam that poke late game more to supplement the damage. So that makes sense. That kind of fits how people have been playing her anyway. Then we have Yin. I kind of predicted Yin would not see any nerfs, but we do see nerfs coming to Yin. You'll see, and I have a Yin guide video coming out shortly. It may be tomorrow, it may be Thursday, on how to play Yin and get the most out of her. And she doesn't seem too strong right now, so I didn't expect to see any nerfs. But we've got starting mana decreased by 30. I do like this, which is bug fix improve hit registration on her basic attack. Her basic attacks did seem very hard to hit. Even if you were aiming them properly, a lot of times they would not register very well. So we'll see how that feels. We'll see what that bug fix actually means. The lash kick cooldown increased by a second late game and same at the beginning. This may make people build more cooldown on her just because you need to get that lash kick up. It's kind of your most important ability. And then Windburn, the extended range auto stem, is getting an adjustment to the scaling by tuning it down late game to maxing out at 20 versus 24%. Yeah, and then I've obviously fixed hit reg on that as well. That's probably fine. I think a lot of the damage that you're dealing with her is just because of the items, because of like the crit items that you're building and stuff anyway, so that probably won't take her down too much. But still surprising to see any nerfs at all to a hero that I think very few people were playing. Zarus, movement speed duration now correctly lasts for 1.5 seconds, not 2.5. He was zooming around in this last patch. And then his ultimate target range decreased by 10%. It already seemed like you had to get kind of close to people to hit your ult on them. But, cooldown also increased by 10 seconds at max rank. So, it is what it is. Zarus will still be good and easy to play. Zinx's final hero change here. Her passive cooldown increased from 17 to 4 to 22. I don't think this will be too big of a deal. People aren't really playing her for her passive. They're playing her for... her passive is good at getting that movement speed boost, but people are mostly playing her for the revive, so... Bad medicine, initial slow decreased. It didn't seem like 30 was excessive or anything, but there is that. And then her ultimate fixed an issue where the cooldown would be consumed using it on someone and they died just like at last second. If you couldn't get it off, it would still be consumed. So a good bug fix. And that is going to do it for our hero changes. I think the most impactful hero changes for sure are... none of these are really crazy impactful other than like Crunch. I don't know if any of these are really going to shift much around. Kallari may be better now, but I don't know if these changes are enough to make Kallari considered good or compete with some of the upper level options. It's just kind of a across the board kind of flattening, I would say. Crunch is probably the most impacted here. I don't expect this to make him better in any way. This is going to make him worse. But other than that, it's just kind of a very slight tune down. Like, it's a very slight tune down for Greystone, very slight late game buff for Grux. Kallari may be the only other one with significant changes. The rest of these are very, very slight changes overall. Some of the weaker ones like Rampage and stuff, very, very slight change upward. You know, very slight reduction in Revenant, slight reduction in Richter. And that's really about it. Not a lot of huge changes. It will be interesting to see if Skylar gets played a little bit more after this. Very slight reduction in Steel. Terra with like her 7th, 8th nerf in a row. Faye getting a little bit less damage overall in the kit, but more potential damage in spamming Harvest Nettles, so it'll kind of balance out. And Yin getting some slight adjustments down. Zarus and Zinx both getting slight adjustments down. So that's going to do it for our hero changes. Let's go into our item balance changes. Item balance changes here. We've got an adjustment to a lot of the support crests, changing around how much gold you get from them and when they evolve, which is good because a lot of times supports have the game's over before they can really get much of their build going, so accelerating their crest evolves is probably ideal, at least in the current meta when games aren't going that long. So Consort crest evolving into Keeper is going to be a little bit sooner. A little bit less gold gain on the actual proc and more gains per second just having it, so I don't know how that is going to balance out exactly, but significantly less gold required to evolve it. And then same thing for the second tier. More gold per second, less per proc. Same thing for Guardian Crest, Warden Crest. More gold per second, less per proc. So that's it for the crest, but that makes sense for the supports. As far as the fully evolved crest, we're looking at like Icecorn. Icecorn is being built on everybody. It is very strong right now. So reducing its duration by 33%, 5 seconds, is pretty significant. And ally bonus physical power decreased by 12%. That's probably fair. This is just a really strong crest that's being built everywhere right now, jungle solo. And it's just even some other positions too, so hard to pass up on it. That probably brings it more in line. War Boots, max health healing increased by a little bit. That's fine. Most people are still probably building one of the other two tank crest, but it brings it closer. Tempest overcharge healing decreased from 40 to 50. Tempest, I guess on the few heroes that people were really liking it on, like, you know, I'm thinking Quang, I'm thinking tankier Countess builds and stuff, this probably makes sense, but not a huge difference here. But let's get into the actual items. Some of these changes are pretty significant, so this could impact the meta more than some of these changes we've seen before, like the heroes, which are really minor. Dust Devil. So yeah, similar to Pain Weaver, it's getting just a permanent 3% movement speed added, which is nice. This is going to make it definitely more attractive compared to Lightning Hawk, which is most people are building Lightning Hawk. I've kind of preferred Dust Devil. And we should see more people probably going for the Dust Devil route instead of the Lightning Hawk route, or if you're building both, just a little bit stronger. Anoxian Quiver, multi-shot damage decreased slightly, farther away, but still full power early, or at close range, and then just 5 less damage per auto on the other passive of it. So that's cool. Probably brings it a little bit more in line, kind of minor change there. Solaris cost increased by 100, and critical strike scaling decreased by 20. I was never really building Solaris. I'm sure the people that were building Solaris don't like to see this, but maybe this is just an indication that it is valuable on more heroes than I think it is, so we'll see. Assassin items wise, Demon Edge, which they didn't put a picture in here for Demon Edge. It's an anti-shielding item. You're only building it in very niche scenarios. I have got really good value on it. I played a game where we had a Steel in the solo lane and a Muriel as their support, and Demon Edge did help me a lot in that game. So physical power decreased by 5 in exchange for 10 haste. That's probably a good change. That probably overall makes Demon Edge better. And the recipe getting pendant added means you can get that haste online early as well, so that's cool. Dread magical armor increased from 30 to 35. Again, that's cool on the heroes that you want one magical armor item, but you still want mostly damage. Dread may be a better pickup for some junglers and some solo laners for sure. Bonesaw. Bonesaw's got adjustments in the last couple patches. It's definitely been a favorite for a lot of people in solo lane right now, as well as jungle situations where you want some scaling attack speed. Colossal Sunder bonus health scaling increased, so damage per hit on that going from 2 to 2.5 could make a difference when you're building full tanks and wanting to throw Bonesaw in the build, like Chimera tanks and stuff. And then Colossal Sunder bonus attack speed decreased from 15 to 10. That's probably good because it would give you an absurd amount of attack speed because you can get 3 stacks of it, so it'll go from a total of 45 to a total of 30 when you're at max stacks on it. That's probably fair. Overall, definitely makes Bonesaw a little bit weaker. Dreambinder. Chilling spells damage over time slow increase from 10 to 15. That's kind of minor because it doesn't affect everything. It just affects like Fey damage ticks, Morgash damage ticks, stuff like that. Iggy and Scorch damage ticks. But why not? Nobody's really building Dreambinder right now anyway. Entropy, again, nobody's really building it. Degeneration damage increase from 3 to 4. Nobody's still going to build it. I don't know if they mean 3% to 4% or just base 3 to 4. Increase the raw damage of its effect. Yeah, nobody's building Entropy still. Golem's Gift. Ability Haste increase from 10 to 15 is pretty nice. Ability Haste is a lot more favorable right now compared to how it was before. People are really prioritizing Haste and trying to stack up as much Haste as possible. Don't think this really pushes Golem's Gift into a position where it's getting built more. But it's a unique item anyway, so if you're already someone who favors it, you'll appreciate 5 extra haste. Lifebinder, less healing, more power. Sorry, Countess. 5 more power for 3% less healing. I don't know if this is really affecting it much with the introduction of the Overseer when they added Entropy. A lot of people are still just building Overseer as compared to Lifebinder because it comes with flat pin. And the flat pin is going to outweigh 5 extra power every time. So a little bit of a reduction in Lifebinder's tech type usability. Prophecy gets a significant cost decrease, 150 less cost in exchange for 10 less power. The power isn't the reason you're building Prophecy, so I can see Prophecy being just being more easy to use, being able to get it online sooner on heroes that are favoring it. I'm thinking Shinbi and Countess builds that favor Prophecy, as well as Tempest, of course, as their starting, or Typhoon as their starting item. So that's not bad. That's cool for Prophecy. We'll probably see it a little bit more with it being that much cheaper. Time Warp cost decrease by 50. That's fine. If you're building Time Warp, you're building Time Warp regardless of if it costs 50 more gold or not. And then finally, support items, Cresselia cost decrease. So we're getting a general cost decrease across the board is what it looks like here. 50 less for Cresselia, 50 less for Crystal Tear, 50 less for Dawnstar, 50 less for Dynamo. Hexbound, we are seeing a reduction, as well as mana restored decreased from 30 to 20%. Only grants mana on hero damage taken. So that's probably how it should have been in the first place, I would have thought. And then basic attack damage reduction increased from 4 to 5. Yeah, 4 was completely pointless. 5 is just barely more than pointless. But Hexbound still has its place. Offers you a good stat spread, and being 50 cheaper definitely makes it somewhat more attractive on certain heroes. I know a lot of people are building it on like Richter and stuff like that, maybe Narbash in certain situations. That's cool. Lunaria health and shield power increased from 10 to 12%. I guess that's fine. They didn't reduce the cost of it, so that kind of got to do something else, I guess, to keep it in line with some of these other support items. Martial cost decrease. It is one of the more expensive ones, but it's also one of the better support items, so that's cool. Tainted Totem power increase. By 5, there's really only a couple heroes you're building Tainted Totem on anyway versus a better anti-heal item for your heroes, your supports that don't heal or shield. But Tainted Totem still is really good on heroes like Narbash and even Muriel. And that's about it, right? You're not probably building it on... You could be building it on Zinx or Phase, but probably not so much. True Silver Bracelet cost decrease. Vanguard cost decrease. This is good for Vanguardian because I think Vanguardian should be built more based off of how much it gives you. So cost decrease is nice there. And then Void Conduit health increased by 50. Ability haste decreased by 5. And then relative missing health regen decreased to 0.5. So usually I was kind of building this just as a teammate mana regen item more than a teammate health regen item. You know, on heroes like Narbash where the extra health regen for your teammates is just kind of supplementary. The haste decrease is probably the biggest hit here. Doesn't affect Narbash very much though. So I think this is a good change for Void Conduit. I think if this would have come alongside with 50 gold cost reduction, you would probably see Void Conduit favored by heroes like Narbash, but I still like building it as my magical armor item, and I probably will continue. 50 health doesn't hurt it by any means. And then finally Elefrost. Pushed it too far out of use. So yeah, base mana regen decreased to 100. A lot of times this will still be your only mana regen item that you build in solo lane or potentially jungle, whatever aspect you're building Elefrost on. It may be your only mana regen item. So 125 to 100 is just kind of okay, and then Frostblade damage increase from 40 to 50 flat. Definitely helps tanks. Definitely helps full tank builds. Do a little bit of extra damage. If you're building this, like they say, if you're building this with Fire Blossom, with Tainted Guard, with Flux Matrix, that's going to hit hard. That's going to be just another thing that lets you hit hard and clear fast as a support or tank. Then we got a host of bug fixes, and then they conclude with, that's it for the final patch of 2024. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts on Discord or Reddit. We're working on an end-of-the-year message for all of us at Ometa, which we're aiming to share with you soon, so keep an eye out for that until next time. So yeah, biggest item changes, we'll hit those real quick before we wrap it up. Biggest item changes were most impactful to the meta. I expect this Dust Devil one to actually be relatively impactful. 3% movement speed on top of the fact that you're getting movement speed from Dust Devil's passive. It just makes it a little bit better. I don't think too many of these other ones are really impactful because these aren't items. A lot of these items you're not seeing built as much. Like a Noxian Quiver, you are seeing built a bunch, but the change is really minor. Bonesaw, you could see less Bonesaw now on the heroes that are just building it for attack speed, like Seraph Greystone type heroes, but you may still see it a fair amount. Like I said, a lot of these mage items are the items that aren't getting built anyway. You know, Dreambinder, Entropy, Golem's Gift, Lifebinder, they're not really getting built. Prophecy, you're happy to see the change if you're building it, but only so many heroes are building it. And then Time Warp cost decrease is cool. I think definitely one of the bigger changes is the general cost decrease on the support items in combination with their crests all evolving sooner should make the mid-game supports be able to do more. A lot of times at support, you're in a situation where you're kind of strong early, and then by the time you've got 3 items online and you're like level 14, 15, the enemy solo laner and like mid laner and maybe even jungler will be like getting near max level and have 4, 5, even 5 plus a little bit items online. So this may help you a little bit. You know, it's only 50 gold, but times 3 items, that's 150 gold less that you need while your crest is keeping up better. So Those are really the most impactful changes as far as items go, because a lot of these you're not going to be seeing anymore because just you're only building them in niche scenarios anyway. But I like the general improvement of the support items, help them get online mid-game sooner. And that's about it for the patch notes, guys. So, of course, we yapped on forever as usual. You know, I like trying to give you guys as much information as possible. It often comes at the cost of these taking way too long. But check out this actual patch notes page. I will link this patch notes in the description, so you can go down there and read through all of this yourself. Come look at the skins and the Winterfest stuff if you haven't looked at it before. It's good to see all this coming back. Again, the only big meta swinging hero changes that I saw were like Crunch and Kalari. Crunch receiving a fair amount of nerfs, and Kalari receiving some decent buffs. And other than that, I don't see too much in here that's really going to massively shift the meta. They're keeping the meta is really balanced right now, so I understand they don't want to mess anything up as much as they want to tighten it down. They're doing these very small adjustments, just slightly bringing down heroes and slightly bringing up heroes that are kind of out of the meta. So, looking forward to version 1.2.2. Like I said, this video should be up, if everything goes to plan, basically right around this time here. Patch releasing approximately December 10th at 5 a.m. Expect some downtime, so expect the servers not to be up probably till at least 7, 8 a.m. And we will also be on stream, probably on Twitch. We'll go ahead and go live on Twitch, potentially YouTube, just depending on how we feel. When this patch is up, to do a little bit of testing, try out some of these new heroes, try out Crunch, try out some supports. For sure, want to try out some supports and build. Try out these, see how these new crest changes feel, and see how the new support items feel, being a little bit cheaper. Try out the Void Conduit, being a little bit tankier and stuff like that too will be cool on supports. So that's going to do it for the patch notes. Like I said, guys, thanks for watching. Come check out the streams. Let me know in the comments what you think is the most impactful change from these patch notes. They are kind of minor, but at least they're still looking at doing minor adjustments where they can, which is cool. So we'll see you on the streams. Thanks for watching. Check out the tier list for version 1.2. I don't know if this meta is going to shift enough to merit a version 1.2.2 tier list. If we do notice some significant changes, we may bring up that version 1.2 tier list again and just kind of move one or two heroes around in it. Particularly Crunch or Kalari could move, but that's about the only ones that I really see here. So we'll catch you on the next one. Come talk it out in the streams to me if you want to get some live reactions or some questions answered about the meta. Or if you want to queue with me, come hop in some queues. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. We'll see you all in the next one.